the biggest stress family-wise, I think for us was just the kids and how to make sure that they were staying safe and that we were making the right decisions. And it felt like every decision was a gigantic decision. Like every decision felt like a little bit of, this could be a life altering decision, whether it's from a health standpoint or their education.
Welcome to Career Mama Stories, where we talk to moms who not only have one career, they have two, raising their children and doing the work that they love. Enjoy.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Hi, Megan.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. How are you doing?
Good.
So nice to finally meet you.
I know, you too.
I feel like I see a LinkedIn message every day from you.
Yeah, I've been fairly close to that. Yeah.
That's great. Do you have an end goal with that, or is this just something that adds to your day?
It's a combination of things. I think that in my role, I am responsible for managing social media for the company and trying to get leaders to kind of be visible externally. So it's partly that. It's partly communicating even with employees, because I have a lot of employees so it's sort of like how I want to show up as a leader externally, but to employees at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then, I don't know, building connections, unknown things is fun.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I'm so glad I found you.
I know. Exactly.
Perfect.
Things just like this. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm Megan Witherspoon. I am currently working out of it was once a nursery, then it was sort of a junk room. And then when COVID hit, it became my office, which has kind of become a little bit of a permanent office for me, which is great. So I live at home with my husband, my two kids, 10 and 6, and a dog. We got some chickens and some bees. It's kind of a full house. My day job, I'm vice president of communications at Altria. Been at the company about 17 years in a whole wide range of roles, but been in this role for almost 2 years.
Okay, awesome. And I love the fact that you're a beekeeper. I have another friend who does that too. And I looked at that when I was in my 20s going, oh, I want to do that someday.
Yeah.
But not for the honey, right? It's like a long game, isn't it?
It is. And I think that my bees are not particularly cooperative, and perhaps I'm not all that good at it. And I only have one hive at the moment. So, and the most I ever had was 3. So, I think if you have a lot more hives, you're probably gonna have a lot more luck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of work. So not only are you a mom to your children and did you say one dog?
I have one dog,
Yeah.
4 chickens. Yeah.
And then a lot of bees.
And a lot of bees. Yes.
That's awesome. We learn a lot from those creatures all around us too. Yeah,
definitely.
So why don't we back up like over a year ago now and tell me when the pandemic hit, what your situation was and maybe even your journey. Feel free to just kick right into kind of your pandemic journey and whatever you want to share.
Yeah. So, it was interesting. Right before the pandemic hit, we were fortunately had the opportunity to take a vacation. So we went out west to ski, and it was basically like a week, 2 weeks before sort of the world shut down. So it was when we were hearing about COVID, but it wasn't known to be in the US, and people weren't really doing any protective measures or anything yet. But I just have this vivid memory of being in the airport on the way home, and we were in Denver or someplace like that. And I was starting to get worried about the COVID thing and thinking about germs and all the people and, airports, all the touching. And my son, who was, I guess, 5 at the time, we were sitting in one of the waiting areas at the gate, and he had his hands all over everything. And for no apparent reason, picked up his hand and just licked it, just like a 5-year-old would do. And I was just like horrified of like, oh my God, what are you doing? So that was sort of like, I don't know, that image is just implanted in my mind, knowing everything that came like right after that. So then came back home, realized after having been detached from the news for about a week on vacation that like things were getting serious. And, being in my role as VP of communications, all of it, the company was all of a sudden talking about, well, what do we need to do? How do we need to mitigate this? Do we need to take measures? What does that look like? And it was sort of, nobody knew what was going on. There was new information emerging every second. So there was like a week and a half period when we were sort of constantly meeting and talking about what do we need to do? What do we need to do? And then we got to the point where we were like, let's take just in case, let's experiment with like a 2-day work from home experience and just tell everybody in the company to work from home for 2 days to just see how it goes, see where the issues are, what the kinks are, so that if at some point we have to do that, we're prepared and we've figured out where the challenges are. Well, by the time, and even that was like sort of a dramatic thing for us to even be talking about, like, can the company survive with everyone home for 2 days? Like, that's big. But we committed to do it. And by the time we actually sent people home for those 2 days, we already said, this isn't going to be 2 days, this is permanent, because everything changed that fast. So we sent all of our salaried employees home, and, school shut down. So kids went home and sort of everyone was trying to figure out, how do they resolve what they need to do with their families? What do they need to do for their jobs? And then being in the role that I was in, it was sort of a constant needing to know what was going on, figure out what do we need to communicate to employees? How do we make sure they understand that the company is fine and we're still running and we're keeping them safe and here's all the things we're doing. So it was just sort of a crazy period of time, where the whole world was trying to figure out what to do and new information at every moment and trying to just keep up with it while also trying to do what we needed to do for ourselves and our families. Because, the kids were all sent home. All of a sudden, the entire family is home together. I'm trying to do my job, but like the kids don't have school and the schools are trying to figure out how do we teach because they were not set up for that in any way, shape, or form. So it was pretty wild for a while. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah. And now are both of your children boys?
No, the older one is a girl. Okay. So I have a 10-year-old daughter and a 6-year-old son.
Got it. Okay. So okay. So you got both genders.
Yep.
Bouncing off the wall, different ages.
Yes.
Was your husband working from home? What did that look like?
Yeah, he doesn't have a full-time job. He does a lot with the schools and does a lot of volunteer stuff. So fortunate, that worked well for us because he was able to kind of be here and help manage them while I'm trying to do what I'm trying to do, to some extent. So, but yeah, it meant we were all here all the time together.
Right. 2 years ago, everyone would be like, "Ooh, that'd be amazing."
Yeah. Yeah. And there were parts of it that were amazing. Like that ended up being a really wonderful thing for the most part. But yeah, the biggest stress family-wise, I think for us was just the kids and how to make sure that they were staying safe and that we were making the right decisions. And it felt like every decision was a gigantic decision. Like every decision felt like a little bit of, this could be a life just altering decision, whether it's from a health standpoint or their education. My son, when the pandemic first hit, he was still in preschool, so it wasn't a big deal. He wasn't really missing anything. But when the school year started and everything was still virtual, he was starting kindergarten. And I'm, for me, it was sort of a emotionally challenging thing to just think of like, my poor little guy, like this isn't what kindergarten is supposed to be. Like he's starting kindergarten in his bedroom on a computer. And how is that going to work exactly when he can't read, he can't do things by himself, like he needs a lot of help, but I have to work and my daughter's got to do her school stuff. So it was stressful.
Mm-hmm. So my daughter, same experience, starting kindergarten.
Kindergarten.
Yep. That was the worst.
Well, it was, and honestly, it was much better than I anticipated or feared, because I didn't know what to expect. I'm like, is someone going to have to sit with him almost all day long to feed him worksheets and color with him, or like how he didn't even know how to use a computer. Like he'd never used a computer before. They spent the entire first day of class teaching them how to use the mute button. Like the teacher had to design all of these games and exercises just to teach them how to use the mute button and how to find the right, Zoom link. And it was pretty crazy.
Yeah, I can totally relate.
Yeah.
And I
Really.
agree too. Like my daughter ended up learning how to read and doing a bunch of math, and I was shocked how much she was able to take from it. So that was the silver lining, I guess.
Yeah, it ended up working a lot better than I expected. And he managed to stay fairly focused. You think about a kindergarten boy, they're just sort of bouncing off the walls all the time. And I was like, there's no way he's going to sit there and listen for that many hours straight. But I was pretty impressed. It worked out a lot better than I expected. Although he did have 3 different teachers throughout the course of the year because they kept changing school arrangements. So first everyone was virtual. Then a small number of kids, it's like I can't even remember already. A small number of kids went back, but everyone else stayed virtual. And then, so he had a teacher change then. And then they invited everyone back in like February, but we opted to stay virtual. So then he had a teacher change again. So first year of school was quite an adventure.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, I didn't have you say where you're at. You mind saying that too?
Oh, sure. Like physically, I'm in Richmond, Virginia. Yep.
Perfect. And I'm assuming that they've already made announcements as fall look like school will be open and your kids will be back in.
I assume so. I think the current plan is full. Yeah, I believe the current plan is a full reopening. You can still opt to do all virtual if you want, but you won't necessarily have a teacher from your school. So we'll go back, but I think they're still figuring out like the mask requirements and all of that. And who knows what vaccine timing will look like for kids and,
Yeah. Okay. That sounds very similar. I'm in Portland, Oregon. I don't know if I told you that. So yeah, we were like the last to open. So every day we're going, please have schools open. Don't shut us down again. Everybody behave themselves.
Crazy.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to switch gears for a second and pop up the pictures that I had shown you from the Career Mama book. So I'm going to share my screen. And first of all, if you could just kind of share your reaction to these images as a mom and tell me what resonates with you. And then if you want to say one in particular that you most closely align to, that would be great.
They're so funny. So the first one, it just feels like sort of fun, happy, sort of strange moments of being at home with a little one. The second one, it seems like, the mom is exhausted at the end of the day, sort of falling asleep, reading to her daughter. So that one totally resonates with me because it happens to me almost nightly as I'm reading to the kids and sort of nodding off at the same time. Mm-hmm. The third one is sort of I'm trying to work and I have these people in the house with me who also are demanding my attention and don't sort of respect the fact that there are boundaries between work and life and that kind of thing. And so, the mom is going with it and seeming to have a little bit of fun with it, which I totally resonate with that one too, because actually one of the things I've really enjoyed are those spontaneous pop-in moments where I might be focused on something and I'm, doing my work, but then all of a sudden, my little guy comes in and crawls on my lap or shows up and peeks in the meeting that I'm in, or just, while he was in school, they would kind of come in and tell me what they were learning or what, I'd get glimpses into their day, which was really neat. So kind of seeing some of those boundaries blur, while it could be challenging at times, I actually really loved that piece of it. um, 4 looks like she's trying to work and her daughter is causing all kinds of havoc, which I'm sure I've had those moments as well. Oh gosh, that's cute. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out what's going on in 5. So she's
Yeah, it's hard to tell without the words on that one. Let me make
okay.
it a little bigger. So the words that go with this spread is she inspires me.
Oh, that's the little girl there.
Yeah. So
Okay,
this
the
is
little
the
girl.
girl. She's drawing a picture and then she's pretending she's mom.
Oh, okay, that's
Yeah.
cute. Oh yeah, I get it now. Yeah, from a distance, it looked like I thought the little girl was the mom. So,
Yeah.
oh yeah, that's cute. Oh. And then 6 is mom working late, trying to probably catch up because she's been dealing with kid stuff during the day. Little girl kind of peeking in to check on her, like, when are you coming down?
Yeah.
Which, yeah, have some of that too. Like, are you done with work now? I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, my work day still ends at kind of 5 o'clock-ish. So, yeah.
How have you done with the boundary, like the time boundaries and staying, we always say that you can never balance. The work-life balance is a myth, but if you're present with each activity at the time, then that's how you can feel balanced, right?
Yeah.
How does that resonate with you, or what are your thoughts about timing? How do you do with all of that?
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, I still kind of stick to like an 8 to 5 kind of schedule, although I have enjoyed having some flexibility with that. And I've enjoyed being able to kind of flow between work and life a little bit more. So whether it's, when the kids are home, being able to go downstairs at lunchtime and like have lunch with them, take an extended kind of lunch period, eat lunch with them, take the dog for a walk to get some fresh air, stuff that I would never have done in an office, obviously. Often I wouldn't even take a break at lunch while I was in an office.
Right.
Or, run out to take them where they need to go or pick them up from an event or school or activity or something. And just be able to kind of do that and then come back to my work and have it not be such a hard border and boundary that's like impossible to cross. Like when I'm in the office, the commute time and everything like that, like I would never be able to pick them up from school or run them somewhere, or often wouldn't have time to squeeze in the dog walk or whatever. So it's, the added time to the day has been huge.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're always trying to find the positive where we can, aren't we?
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, we only have a few more minutes, so I have 2 final questions for you. First, before we run out of time, I want to make sure you get to do a shout out for the cause you wanted to promote. So do you want to talk about that for a minute or 2?
Sure. So I was going to talk about James River Association, which is an organization. I serve on their board, but they are, kind of guardians of the James River here in Richmond and do a lot to kind of focus on improving the health of the river, but also helping improve community access to the river for recreation and things like that. So it's a great nonprofit organization that does a lot to not just for the health of the James River, but for the Chesapeake Bay kind of watershed overall.
That's great. How did you get involved in that? What connection did you have in your own life?
So I'm a huge environmental kind of advocate, and I've been aware of the organization for a number of years because our company supports them, and we often try to make sure executives are serving on nonprofit boards in the community. And so I sort of said, I want that one. because it just was aligned with my personal passions and interests. And so spent a bit of time getting to know them and the executive director, and kind of worked my way onto the board a few years ago.
Fabulous. That's you. Well, being in Oregon, we're big proponents of anything that's going to help keep our nature intact.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely
Exactly.
feel you. That's fabulous that your company is supporting your efforts and like encouraging the volunteerism. It also sounds like they're very conscientious of the home life and, keeping families whole and letting you do what you need to.
Yeah.
So my final question, a good segue, is, again, if anyone were to see this post and hear these stories about moms, what would you say in society? What can society do to help working moms and maybe even companies? Like, are there examples you've seen or the work that you think is top priority that needs to be done?
Yeah. I mean, for me personally, and many of the other women at our company, particularly those who have kids, flexibility is a huge thing. And it's one of the things that we have appreciated so much during this time. And so I'm fortunate that our company is going to continue to support flexibility even beyond the pandemic. And we've said we're sort of adopting a hybrid work model where people can, most employees can kind of choose where, whether to work from the office or from home on a daily basis, which will be really huge for me because the time aspect, like time has been one of my biggest stressors for years. And just having the ability to work flexibly and manage my time in a way that works for my family and for me, and to get that time back that's not spent, commuting to the office, has been really huge and has given me time to do more work, frankly, as well as kind of be more present for my family and kind of have a little more balance. So I think that's something that, obviously many companies are thinking about right now and deciding, how they approach that. And every company is a little different, but I think that's a big game changer.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree. Yeah, I guess, again, a silver lining. What can we learn from the pandemic?
Yep.
Companies will put their employees first. They'll move mountains for them, right? A lot of moms too just kept these companies afloat during this time and helped them stay on top of things. And so I hope that a lot of people recognize that and that they give back in the same way that they're,
Yep.
a lot of work. Okay. And thank you for everything you do for your family and society, and just your scene, mama. Not taken, for granted what you're doing. Some days it might feel that way, but I see you and your kids see you. So
thank you. You too, for sure.
Thank you. Okay, bye, Megan.
All right. Bye. It was nice talking.
You too. With all the data of how moms have been affected in the pandemic, trying to just bring real world examples of what's going on in our homes and what do moms have to say. And love these conversations because of course we have a lot to say, but hardly anyone's asking us directly.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to, just add to the conversation and have some stories out there. The main goal is to get mom stories heard.
Great.